In this video, we're going to be looking at proportional and non-proportional graphs. Now, when determining if there is a constant of proportionality for a graph, so if it's proportional or not, we look to see if it satisfies both of these conditions. So for it to be proportional, it needs to satisfy both of these conditions. It has to be a straight line, and it has to pass through the origin. So if I just skip over the other information right now and I look at the graphs, I'm going to put P's and NP for the graphs that are proportional and non-proportional. So when I look at the first one, I see that it is straight, but then when I look at the origin, it does not go through the origin, so I'm going to put NP because it does not go through the origin and straight. So the second one, when I look at the second one, the line is straight. And let's see, here's the origin. Does it go through the origin? No, it does not. So that also is an NP, non-proportional. Now I'm going to look at the next graph. The line is straight. And looking at the origin, does it go through the origin? Yes, it does. And it's straight. So that means this is proportional. Okay, there's a few more. Let's take a look at those graphs on the side. On these graphs, same thing. When we look at the first one, it is straight. Does it go through the origin? Here's my origin. No, it does not, so it is non-proportional. The next one, the line is straight. Does it go through the origin? Yes, it does. It is straight and through the origin, so proportional. And the last one, the line is straight and it does go through the origin. Okay, so we just went through all of the graphs that were proportional and non-proportional. Now let's look at the second part of the notes up at the beginning, which was the formula or the equation for proportional graphs. So looking at the equation, it is in the form y equals kx. To signify that the line goes through the origin, you should notice that in this equation we do not add or subtract anything to the variable x part. So looking at the equations down below, if you notice, this one says y equals 2x minus 4, and because it has this minus 4 part, that's what's making it non-proportional. On the next equation, y equals negative 2x plus 1.5. Because of that plus 1.5, that's why it is non-proportional. On this third example, it says y equals 1.25x, and that's it. There's nothing over here, which means it doesn't have any extra adding or subtracting, and it is then proportional. Now, if you think of what number represents nothing, that would be 0. And so if there was a 0 here, there's really no need to write plus or minus 0. So that's why there's nothing there. So just keep an eye out on those parts of the equations that I have circled. See if you notice anything right now. But I'm going to look at the other three graphs and check out their equations. So on the equations, if I look at the first part, the first graph, it says y equals negative 0.5x plus 4. It does have the extra adding of 4, so that's why it was non-proportional. We go to the next equation, and that equation says y equals negative x, and that's it. So, because it has nothing over here, which remember that nothing over there was a 0, this equation was proportional. And the last equation says y equals negative 2x. It doesn't have the extra plus or minus over here, because that's that 0 that we don't really write in there. And so that's why it is proportional. Now, like I suggested before, look at those parts that were at the end of the equations. These two were proportional. This was non-proportional. If I go back to the original three equations, these two were non-proportional. This one was proportional. Think about that. What do you notice? And keep that in mind for future assignments. Now, if you would like some extra points on this assignment, if you can make the connection between the second part of the equations and the line on the graph. So the number that's on the second part of the equation and the line itself on the graph. Put that in a comment and I will add on some extra points. Good luck on the assignment.